Hello, West Texas, and thank you for joining us. We're here to talk to people with Goodfellow about the Honorary Commander Program, and this is the first segment of its kind. I'll have them introduce themselves, starting with Mr. J.R. Orlando. J.R., I know I just introduced you, but if you wouldn't mind just giving us a quick recap of, I guess, who you are and what you do.
Sure. My name is J.R. Orlando. I'm the Chief of Public Affairs at Goodfellow Air Force Base for the 17th Training Wing.
Okay, and we have with us as well Mrs. Kelly Hanna, and would you mind introducing yourself as well, telling us a little bit about what you do?
Right. I'm Kelly Hanna. I am the very best school counselor, and I am one of the honorary commanders for this cohort.
Okay, the honorary commander cohort, so this is something that happens every year. I remember visiting with the program last year, and now it's a new group of people. So JR, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a little bit about what this program is, what some of the goals are, and what's different about this year.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. The Honorary Commander Program is an Air Force-wide program. The way that we do it here at Goodfellow is a little bit unique from other bases. It's a more centralized process. We have a class that comes in for each year. The year starts in October and then runs through until the next October. So the reason why we're here today is because on the 1st of July, the application window for the next year's class has opened. And so we're here to tell everyone about the opportunity that they have to be able to apply to be an honorary commander.
What do people need to know about the application process before they decide to, try to start filling that out?
So the process is really easy. All you have to do is go to our website, www.goodfellow.af.mil. It's right there on the homepage. You just click it. That'll take you to the page that has a ton of information to it. And then you can also click to get to the application. And within that application, we're asking for a bunch of stuff. Some of that is for the back end so that we can kind of facilitate your base entry once you get chosen. But then the rest of it is really a chance to tell a story about yourself. And so when we're talking about the Honorary Commander Program, we welcome absolutely anyone to apply. The only thing that I would say is that we're looking for people that aren't necessarily affiliated with the military or with the government. This is really about exposing people to the military. It's not necessarily reinforcing it. We're not looking for retired service members or people that are already federal civilians. We're looking for people that don't know anything about Goodfellow, but they want to get involved and they want to do things with the base and potentially bring their company along for the ride and open up the door to perhaps formalized partnerships or whatever it might be.
Okay, and Kelly, what is the biggest thing that you would say that you've learned about Goodfellow, having heard what JR just said? What's the biggest thing that you've learned about Goodfellow and base operations that maybe you didn't know before now?
I don't know if there is a biggest. I mean, it's overwhelming kind of how much we've learned. But so we're part of the 17th Training Wing. Goodfellow is the 17th Training Wing. So there's 17 honorary commanders. And then I've noticed that a lot of things that happen around base are focused around that 17 number. So there's some change of command ceremonies. They're at 817 or at 317. And so 17 is a big deal. So I've learned that. Other things that I've learned is that Goodfellow Air Force Base is not just Air Force. There is a lot of joint operations there. They house the Marines and the Space Force and Air Force and the Navy, and there's just a little bit of everything going on there, and it's really impressive.
Does it provide a little bit of extra context when, maybe you see a Goodfellow enlistee at a coffee shop or something like that, or somebody who's involved in ROTC or their kids or friends or family friends are involved as well with the military? Has that just made it a little bit easier to understand, what they might be going through as an 18-year-old?
Absolutely, yes. So when we're on base, we see these groups of kids. I mean, they look so young. They're kids, and they're walking to their destination, or they're doing whatever they're supposed to be doing. And I wonder about them. I wonder, where did they come from? How did they get here? What made them decide to do this? I want to know their stories. But it's also when I see someone around town that is wearing uniform, I feel compelled to talk to them now and to find out more about them and to see if they're okay. Like, how is San Angelo? Are you being treated well? Do you need anything? So yeah.
Okay. And JR, when you hear that, I've heard a lot about how this community treats the military members, and this is not. It's not a community that has, a bigger base where, you'd say the people who are working there are just this, massive part of, I guess, the makeup of the community. And I know I'm yapping a little bit, but in a way where, the people working in town, maybe even half of them are working in and around the base. It's a little bit smaller, like a lot of trainees as well. So the support is really, it seems to be more so that people, they want to do it. They're doing it out of, their own hearts and their own, I guess, view of what the military is. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but how does this help with that?
It totally makes sense. And in fact, when you look at the history of Goodfellow, when you look at the history of San Angelo, there's a long-standing tradition of supporting the military, going all the way back to Fort Concho. Even the very beginnings of Goodfellow Air Force Base, there was a group of civic leaders that traveled from San Angelo to San Antonio because they heard that the War Department was looking to do a pilot training base here in West Texas. And so they went to go visit at Randolph Field to campaign to the War Department that that new base should be in San Angelo. And they offered a fantastic deal of a 50-year lease, $1 a year, in addition to a railway head and the use of the land and everything. So right from the very beginnings of Goodfellow as a pilot training base, that support has been here. And the people that I work with, I've been here for 8 years now, and every single year, new people come in, and yet they leave saying that the support that is experienced here by the military is just outstanding, that it's the best in the DoD. And so programs like this, the Honorary Commander Program, are looking to sustain that into the future. Because really what we're doing with the program is that we're immersing all of these community members and their organizations, because what we ask is, we're going to show you how the 17th Training Wing works, but then what we ask is that you go back to your organization and you then kind of tell that story. And what we're trying to create are these unofficial spokespeople for the 17th Training Wing out in the community, so that that legacy of support continues into this generation, the next generation, and the next generation beyond that. And the only way that that happens is by inviting people on base and showing them what it is that we do. And the thing that tells me that the Honorary Commander is doing, or the Honorary Commander Program is doing what we intend it to do, is that each year we have these classes come through and they leave saying, I didn't even realize this was happening. I didn't know this. And so that tells me that we're doing something right, that we're showing them how we do it. And the thing is, not only how we do it, but what we do, why we do it, and the people and the way that we do it. So the whole goal is that we create these unofficial spokespeople in the community, but that they also get to see the way that we work. Because who knows, they may see a better way of doing it. They may realize that, hey, my company can help you do this. And then that starts going into a formalized agreement through the Air Force Community Partnership Program. And then we see an increase of quality of life, both on base and off base. So it's really all about creating that community and making it even better. It's already outstanding, but how do we continue that for decades to come?
What do you find consistently surprises people each year when you see a new class come in? What is that one thing that's every time they see this, they react to it?
I think it's the joint flavor. And by that, I mean the fact that we have 4 different detachments on Goodfellow. We have the Marines, we have the Navy, we have the Army, and we have the Space Force. Yes, the Space Force is young, but we have a detachment on Goodfellow Air Force Base. Just on your average day walking around on base, you have a pretty good chance of seeing someone in each of the armed service uniforms. We train every armed service in signals intelligence and firefighting. And that's not normal, right? When you go onto an Army base, it is a vast majority Army base first, and then, perhaps there are some other elements. Whereas the environment that we've created on Goodfellow, I think, is always a surprise to people how much the other services are really involved and represented.
Mm-hmm. And Kelly, when you go back to your students, are they asking questions, Mrs. Hannah, like what did you do, or are there experiences that you're then able to convey even to I guess the younger students and being that ambassador, not just to people in the community who are adults, though sometimes some people might say I might not look like one. That's why I kind of sporting the mustache now. But the younger students, the really children who might not know the ins and outs, is that something that you're able to take to them?
Absolutely, yes. And even if they don't ask, sometimes I'm so excited about what I've just learned or whatever we've done that I just tell them anyway. So anyone that has ever, since I've started this, has had any type of question about the base, I think they have to make me stop talking because I love everything that I've seen so much. And so, yeah, it's an honor to tell people about the things that we see, the things that go on. It's so impressive. One of the things that has stood out to me, maybe the most, well, there's a lot. I can't say the most. One of the things that has really stood out was during one of the change of command ceremonies that I went to. It was in the fire academy, and I don't know how to say all the names right and everything, but you know, they were addressing the new incoming command person was addressing his new squadron, and he said, you know, we always have to remember that our best day is their worst day. So on their worst day, we have to be at our best. And I'm thinking, you know, there are people out there that are willing to train and to put their lives on the line and to train for our worst day, for them to come in and make things right, you know, and that's in the fire academy, and to set the world right, to bring calm to chaos. And yeah, it's been pretty impactful.
Mm-hmm. I guess piggybacking off of that, JR, how would you say the Fire Academy separates Goodfellow and I guess separates your Honorary Commander Program as well?
So the Firefighter Academy is really unique in the sense that it trains all of the armed services. So it is the Department of Defense Fire Academy. It's the largest fire academy in the world in terms of throughput. So they graduate more firefighters than Tokyo or New York's Fire Academy, which is pretty impressive when you think about it. It's 68 training days that they go through. So it works out to roughly about 6 months. On the civilian side, that takes 2 years. So when you consider the intensity of that training, and then the change of command that Kelly was talking about, they actually have a banner in the space that change of command happened in, and it says, train like someone's life depends on it, because it does. And so that line of work and the danger that's involved, the physical intensity that's involved in that sort of training is really eye-opening. And the cool thing is that we're able to then take the honorary commanders and put them through some of that training. Get them into the bunker gear,
yes.
Get them out there wearing the helmet, get them into the confined space trainer, get them carrying a hose, putting out fires, understanding what it is that all of these students have to go through in 68 days, and then get out there into the operational Air Force. One thing that I would stress to you, the impact of Goodfellow Air Force Base and the 17th Training Wing is truly global. And one of the ways of doing that is through the firefighters. So for every launch and recovery of a DoD aircraft across the world, there are Goodfellow trained firefighters there to respond in case something happens. And so the impact that Goodfellow makes both on the intelligence training side and on the firefighting side is truly global.
Can I just say, we actually put on their fire gear, and we did the whole, I mean, I think we did the whole thing. It was so heavy. And then the hose was so heavy. And then it's so hot outside, and you know, we have these big helmets on and glasses and gloves. I mean, we look like marshmallows out there walking around in this fire gear. And then we get in a truck and they turn on a fire for us, and we're getting to like spray water on the fire. It was really I don't know if that's kind of your thing, then I think you should apply to be an honorary commander, because that was such a great day, putting on all of the gear and kind of walking just a couple of steps in their shoes.
Was it something that you were kind of, I guess, did it meet expectations, exceed expectations? Was it something that that excitement's kind of bubbling up, like I know I'm going to get to do this, or was it something that's, okay, I'm a little bit nervous and then I get to do it and wow, I'm glad I did it? So I think
it exceeded expectations. You know, I didn't know that. In addition to fighting the fire, we also got to go and do some like vehicle recovery type stuff where we used Jaws of Life, and I had no idea. Have you ever picked up those tools?
Not me.
They're very, very heavy. I like waltzed over there, thought I was gonna pick one up, just all, and I was like, help. It was so heavy. So anyways, we got the Jaws of Life up, and we're still wearing all the gear, all the big heavy gear and all the things, yes. Exceeded expectations and made me thankful that people are willing to train like that every day, so that my worst day is their best day.
Mm-hmm. And having to do that in the West Texas heat as well.
Yes, I mean, I can't even imagine. Yes. I'm thankful for them.
Did you get to see the working dog demonstration?
I did get to see the working dog
What'd you think of that?
I loved it. I was so impressed. I was really hoping that everything went as it was supposed to, because that dog was, I mean, I think it could be somewhat vicious. I think that someone could get really hurt if they didn't obey the commands. So thankfully everything went just as it was supposed to. And ironically on that day, I think it's ironically, probably, I mean, I don't think it was scheduled, but when we were leaving, the dog and the handler were at the gates. And I think, you know, they were either just there working or I'm not sure what, but I thought, oh man, I'm going to drive the speed limit and do everything just right because I don't want to mess with that dog. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, I mean, that's the element to think about, right? We're able to bring the honorary commanders on for a full program over the 12 months of immersing into each of our 4 groups and understanding how they work, where they work, and what it is that they do. Yeah. But the thing is, dog demonstration in the morning, but then back to the mission in the afternoon. And so that K9 team was obviously running some sort of security on the gate that day, and so it just happened to be the same team. But that is one of the benefits of this program. We have gotten tremendous support from the base side of things to have the enthusiasm to be able to open up their facilities, open up their teams to be able to show this off to the honorary commanders. And honestly, hearing Kelly be able to describe those things, that's exactly what we want. We want people to be able to go out into their community with a new understanding of what it is that the service members do in case of, you know, signing on that dotted line, saying that they're willing to give it all for our country, but then understanding the training that they put themselves through. I think it's just going to increase our community support and the relationship that the community of San Angelo has with the base, understanding what it is that happens here and how special it is.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And Kelly, what was it like interacting with, you know, the rest of the commander group as well, the honorary commander group rather, just being able to see everybody's surprise kind of hit at the same time, the fascination start to hit at the same time, and just everybody get to be hands-on together. Because, I mean, the 12-month journey for a year, you're honorary commanders, and you're seeing the same people. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't, but you're all going through the same experiences.
Yeah, so yeah, that was really neat. I think on our very first immersion, we're kind of getting to know each other. We're figuring each other out a little bit, and they take us out to this MIG, and that was day one. Mm-hmm. That was like number one thing on day one. It was fabulous. It was so neat. And so while we're getting to know everyone, you know, we're all trying to take selfies in the MIG and doing stuff like this, and then taking some group photos. And it was like a perfect way to get us all started and talking to each other and into each other. And when we get there, we spend the whole day together. So we do the whole immersion together. We eat in the dining hall where the students eat. Yes. That's also an experience. So I was eating, I think it was the last immersion when I was eating in there. I'm getting my tray, and all of a sudden there's this ruckus in the dining hall, this rah, 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 you know, guys are yelling at some people coming in, and I asked somebody, I said, what in the world is happening? So I think the Fire Academy students were eating at the time, but then some of the Intel students walked in, and I think there's a friendly, competitive, like, back and forth, and so they were yelling at each other, like, rah. It was fun. It was neat to see, like, that there's that competitive spirit between the two training groups there.
And that's the goal, is to try and truly immerse the honorary commanders into life on Goodfellow. It really is like a small town. It has to be run that way. We have a civil engineering, we have a police department, we have a fire department. You know, we have to maintain the 3,500 daily student load that we have that are living in the dorms, and they all live on base. We have a sizable amount of our population that lives off base, but then there's also a fair number that live on base. And so it really is, the mission support group basically runs our little city, and we try and show all of that to the honorary commanders.
What do you hear from students when the honorary commanders come on base and when they leave?
I think it takes some explaining sometimes because we do have quite a transient population that they're coming in for their class and then they're moving on into the operational Air Force. From the permanent party, they're always so excited. So permanent party are the staff that are support, and they're always here. They're here for a longer tour, so maybe 3 or 4 years. And now that we're now advertising for our 4th year of the Honorary Commander Program this way, everyone gets really excited about it. Excited about the opportunity to be able to show off their mission, show off their teams, show off their star performers and what it is that they do. And I think people have really embraced it within the 17th Training Wing as a chance to really highlight what it is that we do.
I think this will be for both of you, but what's the biggest thing that you want the new commander cohort to be able to experience as you go into accepting applications for the next group that's coming in?
So my hope is that people don't hesitate when it comes to applying. Just because you're in a certain position with a certain organization doesn't mean that you're disqualified from applying. What it is that we do when we get the applications is that we ask you for some information regarding what's your role within your organization, what is your organization. We ask for some awards, some recognitions that you've received. And then not only are we looking for what it is that you do 9 to 5, but what do you do after that? What organizations are you involved in around the community? What sort of position do you hold in those positions or in those organizations? Then we also look at what's your motivation, right? What's your motivation to be part of the Honorary Commander Program? Is it that you long-term want to start working with the military? It's always fascinated you. Kind of make that appeal to us, because that is one of the categories that we then judge those applications by is, hey, what's your motivation behind this? And then also, what organization do you represent? What are you kind of bringing to the fight, so to speak? Because we love being able to tell our story and show off what it is that we do, but it is done with kind of a long-term goal of hopefully forging partnerships, perhaps with organizations that we haven't dealt with before. I think this year was especially impactful when it comes to that we had a lot of organizations that we hadn't worked with before, but they are now represented through the Honorary Commander Program, and hopefully that means that then someone else in their organization will apply this year, and we'll just continue that, and we'll be able to turn that into either formalized partnerships or some sort of long-term sustained relationship.
Yeah, for me it was that I have lived in San Angelo my entire life. I was born and raised here, and I've never moved away. And so, I drive by the base a lot, and I've always wondered, what is behind the gates? What goes on there? And a little bit ashamed that I knew so little about it after living here for my whole life. And so I applied a lot out of curiosity and then out of a sense of responsibility that I should know what happens here so that I can tell people about Goodfellow Air Force Base. And then he's right about the different people showing off and doing their things. When we had our detachment day and we were looking at all of the joint forces and stuff, the Marines put on this demonstration for us, and it was pretty impressive. And somebody asked, they were like, "So, what's the purpose in this?" And they're like, "Oh, it's just Marines being Marines." And I was like, "Wow, I loved that line, just Marines being Marines." But that stuff is happening every day, behind those gates at the base, and I think it's our responsibility to know about it, to support it in any way we can, and to find out more about it.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything we missed, anything that either of y'all would like to talk about before we wrap up?
So yeah, I just want to kind of describe what people can expect. So the application window is open from the 1st of July until the 29th of August. So you have lots of time to be able to work on your application, put it in. By all means, if you're even thinking about it, go ahead and apply, because we would love to see your application. You're absolutely going to be considered. No one gets thrown into the discard pile right off the bat. But then, what can you expect from us? Well, you can expect a 12-month program. What we ask from you is time. So we ask that you are there for your induction ceremony and that you're there for the main immersions. The entire program is built around 5 real kind of main immersions. The first one being kind of an orientation, getting to know the base, getting to know what's there, understanding what our mission is, and where the 17th Training Wing falls in terms of the Air Force, in terms of the Department of Defense, and our kind of overall goal as a country in terms of national defense. Then we move into the groups. So you get to learn how the 17th Training Group goes about producing intelligence professionals and firefighting professionals for not only America, but also for her allies. Then you go into the mission support group. You understand kind of how our little city is run. You have the medical group as well, understanding how it is that they take care of the Goodfellow population and the retirees that live in San Angelo as well in terms of medical care. And then you've also got our 517th Training Group, which is geographically separated out in California, but they play a vital role when it comes to providing the National Security Agency with a large amount of workforce and cryptologic analysts. And so you get to learn about all of that. Then on top of that, we also have a day that's dedicated to our 4 detachments. So you get to understand, yeah, that's how the Air Force works, but then here's how the Army, the Navy, and the Marines and the Space Force work within the 17th Training Wing as well. So that's the main core of the program. Then you're also going to get lots of opportunities to attend things on base. So that comes to social events, celebrations, just general recreational events that are going on, change of commands, and so you get invites to that during your term as an honorary commander. And then the other thing that we invite is that you start to make your own relationships. So if you go out onto one of these immersions and you find something that really kind of triggers a passion in you or an interest or potentially an interest from your organization to get involved and help the way that we do things, by all means, set up those meetings. We encourage that, in fact. We do have a point system that rewards activity within the program, and really that is to earn towards our Distinguished Graduate Award that we give to the highest point earner of that year. And the way that you can do that is by creating these relationships yourself and going out and setting up meetings and providing input, consultation, whatever it might be that leads to a long-term relationship between that honorary commander and the 17th Training Wing.
Is there anything else that you'd like to say? Anything else that you think that people should know about you, about the Honorary Commander Program, or I guess about your experience as a whole?
Sure. I think that those that are thinking about applying, or it's crossed your mind, or you've seen it, you've wondered about it, just apply. I mean, there's no regrets there. I don't think anyone would ever be like, man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. It's definitely a no regrets situation. So.
Okay. Well, I think that's all I have, unless you all have anything else. This is, I guess, the going once, going twice.
Just want to reinforce, if you do want to apply, it's our website, www.goodfellow.af.mil, and it's right there on the homepage. If you have any questions about it, feel free to call the office, 325-654-3876. You can give us a call if you have any questions or any difficulty applying. And the deadline is August 29th. Looking forward to seeing those applications.
Okay. Well, thank you all for watching us on Fox West Texas Plus, our YouTube channel, or wherever you may be joining us. This is Mr. J.R. Orlando and Mrs. Kelly Hanna. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for having us.